In today's video, I'm going to share with you how you can do a full color transformation with only using 10 foils. And I'm going to share with you my hack for how to cover gray in less than 10 minutes. What's up guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jamie Dana and I am here to support you on your hair journey. So my model today has one all over color and she wants to add in a lot more dimension into her color. Now this might seem like a full color transformation. And how many times have you had a client on your books for maybe a root touch-up or only a 2.5 hour slot, but they want a lot more than what you have time for? So today's technique, I'm going to show you how you can do this with 10 foils or less and a quick 10-minute root touch-up so that you can get your client in and out in one appointment. So let's get started. All right, so this is our before, and as you can see, we have just a one color. It has been over a year and a half since she had her hair colored. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna add in a little bit of caramel dimension, and then we're gonna go through and cover up these grays around the front hairline with an express color, and I'm gonna show you exactly how we do that. So let's go get started. Okay, so we are going to mix up her color and we are going to be doing some lighter balayage pieces around her face just to bring in a little bit of dimension. Now, our goal with these brighter pieces is we don't need them to be a lot brighter. I'm not looking for a level 8 or level 9. I want somewhere in between a level 7 and a level 8, just very subtle. But because she told me that she colored her hair about a year and a half ago, normally I would go in with a high lift tint or even a color with a higher developer to lift up those pieces, but because she probably has previous color on her ends, we're not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to go in with a lightener. We're going to mix up just 20 volume. It's not going to sit on super long, but I do want to make sure that we lift past that like orange phase just to get out that super red warmth. So let's mix up and then we'll go apply. So I am going to be using the Nova lightener with 20 volume, and this is from Masters of Balayage. And I'm really excited because my friend Ryan is the owner of the company and he helped develop this lightener. You know, it's great when you have hairstylists developing products for you because you know that they work really well. This is actually my first time using it, so I'm excited to try it out and we'll see how we like it. So before we get started with her color, we are actually going to be doing a cut. She has not gotten a haircut in 5 years. Now, we obviously don't client shame around here, but it's time for a little haircut. So I'm going to take off just a little chunk before we get into doing color because we don't need to waste our time putting color on those ends and lightening them out. So we're just going to do a quick little chop and then we'll get into it and we'll do a full cut later. Okay, so like I mentioned, we are going to be adding a little bit of dimension really just around her face and throughout more her ends. So I'm going to start in the front section. We're going to do some diagonal forward sections just to kind of bring in that brightness and add a little bit more dimension. So my first section, I'm not really going to be sectioning the hair off. I'm just really going to be kind of going in more freeform. So we're going to take this first section. As you can see, it is a diagonal back, but the reason why I said diagonal forward is because the foil that we're going to be doing is laying more forward so that we can see this pop of brightness kind of round her face right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this first section is, as you can see, I am including just a little bit of her hairline. Now, all of these grays that we see, we're actually going to go in and we are going to do an express color. And the way that we're going to do that is going to help blend in these grays. But I do want there to be a little bit of dimension in this piece right here. This technically would be part of like her money piece. Now, she shared with me that she pretty much wears her hair back and off of her face. So because of that, if she did wear it down, I actually might start the brightness kind of a little bit higher in here. But because that's not really something that she does, we are going to have it be a little bit lower. Now, keep in mind that we do have this section right here, but let me just clip this away for a second. And let me show you this little corner right here. Now, let's say she was somebody who does wear her hair down a lot, and maybe she's like, I really want to see a lot of brightness around my face. This is where placement comes in, right? So obviously you can see that she already has these grays here, which could act as our lighter pieces as we're going to blend them out. But if we left this whole piece dark right here, then if she really wanted to see that brightness when she wears it up, we're just not gonna see it. It's gonna cover this up. So if that was something that she wanted, I might even go in and do that with this piece down here and then take a little section and do our next piece. But that's not really the technique that we're going for with her. I might tip this out a little bit, but I don't wanna add in too much dimension. We're just adding in subtle dimension with her. So it's always about your placement and your client's desires of how they wear their hair, how they're going to maintain their hair, and what exactly they're looking for. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, now that I've got my section, I am going to hold the hair kind of almost 3/4 of the way down, and I'm gonna take my comb in and I'm going to lightly just tease away a lot of these baby hairs. You can see that already we're getting all of these little baby hairs out of the way, and this is going to help us bring in just a really soft blur. So we're getting these up out of the way, and now I've got a nice thinner section to work with. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my foil, and these are actually the foil rolls from Framar. I love them because they're long and I can make them as long as I need them to. And as you can see, I'm going in with my lightener and we're literally just placing it down right there, kind of about, you know, halfway down the hair shaft, maybe a little bit higher. And I'm not too worried about there being a line right there. I'm just basically using that to hold the foil in place. And then I'm fully saturating the rest of her ends. So we're getting in there real good, making sure to fully saturate these ends down here. Now, she has finer hair, so it's actually not too hard to fully saturate, but let's say she had really thick hair. We'd wanna make sure that we're really opening up that hair and making sure that there's no hollow spots, especially because she has previous color on this hair and it is darker. We wanna make sure that there's no hollow spots. Otherwise, that could cause blotchiness and can also cause a lot of red tones, which we definitely want to avoid. So now that we've pretty much saturated through to the ends, I am going to make sure that I've got all these little baby hairs out of the way, and we're just going to feather the color up into here. So this is helping blur that line that we already have. I'll just grab a little bit of color on my brush right there and just kind of feather it up in here. Really good. Now the cool thing is, because we have all of this teased away, that's going to help with the blurring of the lines so we don't have a line of demarcation. So now I'm just going to take another foil. We're going to lay this down on top and we'll fold up the bottom. Now, you may have seen other stylists where they fold this whole section up. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like to fold the hair the least amount as possible when we're doing balayage sections like this. It just makes sure that we don't have any hollow spots or anything that can get funky in the foil. So I personally like to lay a foil on top and then just kind of secure the bottom like this, just to kind of fold it away from the client's face. But you could also just leave it open like that if you prefer, whatever is easier for you. Okay, so we are gonna move on to the next section. So I'm gonna leave about 1 inch. We're gonna go just 1 inch further back from where we were. So we're gonna do the same thing, diagonal back. Flip this hair away. I'll grab my section. And we're going to do another forward diagonal section. Now, as we get further back in the head, you might feel like you want to take a little bit thicker of sections, but you're worried about the line of demarcation. If that's the case, you definitely can weave this section too to kind of eliminate just a little bit more hair if you want, and then also do the tease technique as well. And the reason why I start so far down, holding the hair way down here and teasing up, is because it really allows me to get a lot of those kind of like baby hairs and hairs that aren't quite long enough, and that's what's really going to help with that blurred line. So we are going to place the hair in the foil. Now, you might see hairstylists on Instagram use a foil board. A lot of them will do this technique with a foil board, or maybe you've seen like a board that has like a comb in here to kind of help hold those hairs. That is a great strategy, great technique. Personally, for me, I've just never used one, so I'm more comfortable not using a foil board. But if that's easier for you, absolutely go for it. And I think it can be really easy, especially for that saturation, because you have something to kind of press up against. So once again, making sure that it's really saturated. You can say that I kind of do like a crisscross kind of motion here. And then we're just gonna go up in and blur our line. And lock it into place. So I'm going to continue doing this exact technique. We're going to do like 2 more foils on this side, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I finished the 2 sides where we just did about 3 or 4 foils, again, going forward. Now we get to this little back section, and we want to make sure that we have some dimension in here because we don't want her to be wearing her hair down and it look like a complete dark hole back here with some dimension up there. So I'm just going to do 2 foils back here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a triangle just like this. So we're sectioning out this little guy, and I'm going to do 1 foil here and 1 foil going down there. Okay, so I have this final little ponytail section up here, and one of the things, again, as we're talking about placement when it comes to lightness, as you can see, if I were to let this hair go, there's going to be quite a bit of dark through here, so I am going to add in 1 more foil. So how we're going to get that, so we're just going to split this right in half, just a little bit below the apex of her head. And just as a reminder, the apex is the highest point on the client's head. So hers is right about there, so just a little bit lower than that. And I'm just gonna take a very chunky weave for this one. Now, with this weave, you're gonna notice that I'm not just keeping it right here on the surface, I'm actually going deep into it. So chunky, 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 and I'm getting really in between there. So now I'll take the hair, I'm gonna split that hair, just a little bit lower. So split that hair. So now we're really getting that diffusion right here, which is even how I sectioned it. And we're gonna do the same technique where we just tease it. Now, even with this one, you can see I'm actually holding it. I want this one to be really diffused. So as you can see with the other ones, I was holding about, 3/4 of the way down and still had quite a bit of her ends. That's gonna give us less hair to tease up. This one, I'm actually taking it almost to her ends. And I'm going to tease it up really lightly right here. And because she's got a lot of these baby hairs, we're gonna put a little clip in here just to kind of get them up out of the way so that they're not bugging me as I go to do this. Now, one thing to keep in mind, as you can see, I did tease up her hair throughout this entire process. And I asked my client, I said, does your hair tease or does it tangle pretty easily? And she said, well, sometimes. So as I'm teasing the hair, I'm not pushing it in there very hard. I'm just very lightly pushing it up into our section just to get it out of our way. This is gonna help us detangle it a lot easier when we go to pull these foils out. The thing you don't wanna do is you don't wanna take the hair and push it up and wrap the hair up in there as if you were doing like an updo or something like that. We really want to avoid that because that could cause matting. It could cause a ton of detangling issues when we take them to the shampoo bowl. So I'm just like barely pushing it up there, getting it up out of my way so that we can have that diffusion. So with this section, it is a little thicker, so I'm making sure to really saturate it in there. Again, just pushing my brush in there. And you can see that I take my brush and I really kind of just like almost lift open the hair to make sure that there's no open spots. So this is great. And I actually really like this lightener because it has a really great consistency. So far I've been really liking it. And we just blend it up just through our feathering. And you can see when I am feathering it, I'm not really taking it up too much past that foil because I do want to make sure that it's incubated in our foil. There's a few pieces that are getting a little higher and that's okay. But for most of them, I wasn't doing that. Place our foil right on top and we're good to go. Okay, so now that I've gone through and I've applied all of our foils that we're gonna do, I'm going back to my first foil just to check to see our lift. And as you can see, already we're getting that beautiful caramel lift. And you can already see that it's very blended through here. So we do have a little bit of warmth. I'm gonna let it lift up maybe just like one more level. We're sitting at about a 7 right here. But keep in mind, if we do rinse this out now, we are still gonna have some warmth and we are gonna tone it a little bit darker, but we don't wanna have that toner lift out and have it be too warm for her because she's very low maintenance. So we are gonna lift past that warmth just a little bit, but really these foils don't have much time to go at all. So one of the things that I like to do while my clients are processing is I like to just kind of pull these foils away, make sure that there's no like baby hairs in their face because that is so irritating to have that sit on your face like that for 20 minutes or however long they're processing. So I usually just like to kind of clip it up out of the way with the towel. Try not to clip it too high up. You can cause some areas that might have hollow spaces, but just kind of clip it right here, gets it out of the client's face. It feels a little cooler. It doesn't feel so hot on them. And another thing that I wanted to mention was I chose to use 20 volume when we went in with our lightener. And you might be thinking, why are you using 20 volume? She probably doesn't need that much lift, but I decided to do 20 volume just because this is a quick appointment. It's a quick process, and 20 volume isn't going to be anything that's too harsh on her hair. Her hair can handle it, but it's going to allow us to get that quick lift. We can go in, do our quick color, and this whole process of this color isn't really going to take us very long. It might be an hour and a half, 2-hour appointment, which is really great to be able to get those clients in and out. So this is a nice quick process that you can do, even a quick add-on service that you could do for those express color clients. Okay, so now that we have rinsed her out, we are going to mix up her root color, and I'm going to be using Redken Color Gel's 10-minute color because all we're going to be doing is really applying it around her face where those gray hairs were. We're not actually going to be applying it to her entire hair because we don't need to. And back in the day when I was first a hairstylist, I used to just apply color even though there wasn't necessarily gray that I needed to touch up. I just was like, well, I'm doing a root touch up, so I have to apply it all over the whole head because that's what my client paid me for, right? We don't need to do that. We just need to attack the areas that have the issue with the gray. And for her, she really only has it around the front. So we're gonna be doing the 10-minute color gels, which is nice and quick and easy. And we're also gonna apply her toner at the same time, just to save us time and make this process super quick. So for her roots, I'm mixing up Color Gels 5N with 20 volume. And for her toner, I am mixing up 3/4 7N and 1/4 8GI. Okay, so we rinsed out her lightener, and all I did was I took her back to the chair and we just detangled her hair. I didn't shampoo or anything like that. First, I'm putting on a little bit of our Framar Dye Defender just to kind of help protect her skin so we don't have any staining. The good thing is it's only a 10-minute color, so we shouldn't have too much staining, but you know, it is a dark color, so we do want to just add that little extra layer of protection for our clients. Okay, so I am just gonna go through and start applying it to our hairline. Now, like I mentioned, because she doesn't have gray all throughout the rest of her hair, we really don't need to apply this very far back. So it's literally just this like little section here in the front, and we can just kind of keep an eye on where those grays are for our clients. And this is where customized color comes in. And that's why I love doing more custom colors for my clients versus just kind of slapping color on and doing the same thing for every single person. So literally just kind of going through this front section here. And obviously because I had already done the rest of her color, I could kind of see where that gray was. We'll pull back this front section. We see it right through here a little bit. And it does go a little further down. So I am making sure to drag this down a little bit, you know, for this front extra section, making sure to get all those little baby hairs in there. And she does have it a little bit more back around this back hairline. But other than that, she doesn't really have it internally in her hair. So we'll just kind of check to see where it is. Just gonna do a section here, see if there's any back there. Not really, just a little bit. looks good to me on this side, and we'll go to the other side. So again, just continuing around this hairline. Want to make sure that we're really getting those grays right here in the front and saturating them really well. Now, the thing that I like about color gels is it has more of a consistency like Shades EQ. It's a gel consistency. So I don't really have to worry about the color being too thick or anything like that. It saturates pretty well and it makes it really easy to apply, especially if you need to apply it really quickly. Another reason why I love color gels is if I needed to do a root shadow on her, let's say she was more of a blonde client or we did a really strong money piece and I wanted to blur that line, color gels help me do that versus maybe a more traditional permanent color. And the cool thing is they only have to be on for 10 minutes. So I can get in there, go in, add my color really quickly, and then move on to the rest of the hair. So makes it just a really quick express service without having to let it process for about 40 minutes. So she has a little bit more gray on this side. So we're just going through, making sure to kind of check. At this point, just like little sprinkles throughout her hair, but not too far back, so. And anytime I'm doing any gray color touch-up, I always make sure just to go clean up my client's hairline. You know, the last thing we want is our clients to be staring at themselves in the mirror and have a glob of color on their face. So always clean up their hairline and make sure to kind of re-saturate, just make sure that these little gray hairs are laying down as much as possible so that they get that coverage. So now that I've cleaned up her hairline, one little strategy that I like to do, you can see that sometimes, especially because she has curly hair, some of these grays want to poke out and they don't want to lay flat. So you can use a foil. I just kind of tore a little foil in half, or like in quarters here, and just lay this right along here. This is going to keep that hair laying down, especially for like little wiry ones like this that just want to stick out. That is a great strategy. You can also use perm papers, whatever works for you, but this just keeps these little grays laying in there and getting that full color. All right, so now that we have applied her roots, I'm just gonna go in and we're gonna apply her toner. So we've already mixed that up and I'm just kind of applying it to the areas where we already have that lightness in there and combing it through with my wide tooth comb and getting it really saturated in there. Okay, so she is fully processed and we are going to rinse her out, but I want to share with you a little technique that I use to help get that color off the hairline. So what I like to do is I like to get my hands wet first, and then I just go in and massage the color on the hairline. Now, you may have been taught in beauty school to go right in with water or to go in with shampoo, and actually that's the worst thing you can do because the shampoo actually locks that color into the skin. But by massaging it and kind of lifting it up off the skin, it helps make sure that we get it up off the skin, especially with that skin barrier cream that we use too. So then we can just go in with our water and you'll see it pretty much lift up off the skin pretty easily, even with dark colors. Now, if you're just starting out, you might wonder, when do I stop shampooing my client when they have color on their scalp? When do I know when the color is all rinsed out? So here is an example where you can see that there is still quite a bit of pigment left in the water, which means it is not fully rinsed out. So we want to pretty much ideally get it to the point where the water is rinsing clear, and that's going to be how we know that the color is pretty much rinsed out. Now, the only exception that I would have to this is if you're rinsing out vivid colors or you're rinsing out redheads. That is kind of an exception where you may still have some of this color in the water, that pigment in the water. But on browns and just toners, you want to make sure it's pretty much rinsing clear. See, now it's rinsing clear, so we know that we're pretty much all rinsed out at this point. oh my gosh, you guys, I'm obsessed with how it turned out. As you can see, those ribbons of color are just so beautiful. It added in so much dimension, and even with only 10 foils, we got a beautiful caramel color transformation. And as you can see around the hairline here, we have that beautiful gray coverage with only 10 minutes. I loved this color transformation. What do you guys think? Are you gonna try it? In the comments, let me know. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with how her color turned out, and I love this technique. I think the reason why I love it so much is because you can literally add this service into a 2 or 2.5 hour slot. It's not a full half-day color correction or color transformation. It's quick, it's easy, and it's to the point. So I'm curious, how many of you are going to try either the 10 foil technique or the 10-minute root color? Go ahead and let me know in the comments which one you're gonna do. And before you go, if you are a hairstylist who struggles with writing Instagram captions, I actually have a free gift for you. So you can grab it in the description box below, but I'm gonna give you your next 10 Instagram captions pre-written for you. All you have to do is copy and paste them into Instagram and you've got them ready to go. As always, thank you so much for being here and for watching my videos, and I'll see you guys next time.